ESGs?
So ESG is something that's really, really critical to understand. ESG stands for Environment, Society, and Government. And so there are these like rating scales. So if you're a company and you're a business, they want to make sure that you are checking off all the boxes to make yourself look as though you really care about the environment, society, and governance. And so we're seeing a lot of these moves towards, social credit or towards, business kind of credit, so that they're towing the line and making sure that, they're impressing this arbitrary, system of ESG.
Militant feminism.
Yeah, so feminism at the United Nations is taken on a whole other world where we hear some very outrageous things. And at the Commission on the Status of Women, which is like this kind of, what I've often said is like the feminist mecca. It's where all of the women come to talk about women's issues. But if you don't fit their brand of feminism, you really are sideline marginalized, if not outright not allowed to participate, which is anti-woman, right? And so I think that there needs to be some kind of open-mindedness so that we can express the things that matter the most to us. And sadly, even using the word woman at, a couple of years ago when I attended the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, it became a very difficult thing to even talk about our sexed bodies, that they're different. And it's something that's quite unfortunate.
Yes. And the next one is communism. I mean, you would think that everybody would know what that means, but it seems to be a popular topic now among universities.
It really is. And at the United Nations, they're talking all about financial shifts. We heard just this year all about the redistribution of wealth. Almost at every single event that we attended, that is the only way to solve these global issues. We heard all sorts of communist slogans, push back against the pushback. The power isn't given, it's taken. All of these different things really are alarming, because for a lot of sovereign nations that are founded on, the freedom of,
choice.
Business, and so that's very alarming.
Very alarming. And I'm concerned that there's so many of our youth in schools, colleges that are agreeing with it now, because they don't understand the difference between that and having a capitalist system. Very alarming. Okay, so the next one is UNCRC.
Yeah, it's the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and this is a really big one. The Convention on the Rights of the Child says that children have a right, apart from their parents, to do anything. They have a right to education. Now that begs the question, what kind of education? If I'm not, there's so many parental rights that are infringed here, and I think that it's something that parents have to really be aware of, because we already have seen so many parental rights just squashed through maybe not affirming your child's pronouns or something, and then through the public school system that they don't even let the parents know that this is going on. And so, but the child has a right. So the child, it's like a legal wedge between children and their families, children and their parents. And we have their best interests at heart, not the state.
Yes.
And so that's something we really need to be aware of. One thing I will share that's so interesting is that under the UNCRC, there was a very special rapporteur. Like, they have like a team that will go and investigate all these different countries of these experts that will go. And they were researching all about kids that are sadly incarcerated. Like, they're homeless children. They're put into these, incarcerated facilities, for lack of a better word. And so they were observing. And this expert came out with the research and said that the two top things that they would do to alleviate this terrible problem under the, Convention on the Rights of the Child is that they would support families, that building families was the solution.
Yeah.
However, this expert, their results were never published and were never shared in the United Nations, Convention on the Rights of the Child. So it's like, the experts are telling us what children need. They need stable families, and that we need to really build that as a solution.
Encourage families, rather than break them apart.
Right.
So the last one we're looking at right now is CEDAW.
CEDA is
See that?
the Convention to Eradicate All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. So if you have ever heard of the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, that's kind of what was happening at the national level. CEDA is the international
Version of it. Huh?
version of it, and I say it has way more teeth to it. It's a treaty, and the United States is one of the last countries, there's only 6 that have not ratified CEDA. And at this past UN conference, we heard with our own ears that many women were very disappointed, disgusted with the United States that they hadn't ratified CEDA. And they said, well, don't worry, we're going to bypass Congress and we're going to go right to the local level. So now they have something called Cities for CEDA, which we'll talk about further in another episode.
I appreciate so much what you're bringing to us, the definition of all these terms. It is not only her responsibility, but our responsibility to become aware of these different acronyms because they do impact us on a local level and will impact our families. For more information, please go to bigoceanwomen.org and hope that you will get involved to help protect your family. Thank you.